In 9.5, we're dealing with solving quadratics using the quadratic formula. This is based off of our quadratic, which is in standard form. So in order to use this formula, it has to be in the format of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. If it's not in that format, you're going to have to rearrange it so that it is. So thinking about quadratics in general, right? So when we're saying that we're solving the quadratic, remember that we are realistically looking for where does the quadratic cross the x-axis, okay? So just a reminder on that, this is what we're looking for, okay? So this is in the format of an x equals, because we already know that the y is 0 because it's on the y-axis, okay? So just kind of a quick refresher, what is it we're actually solving for? What are we trying to find, okay? So with that being said, our formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, how in the world am I going to remember that? If you've ever heard the song Pop Goes the Weasel, this is how you're going to remember it. And boy, I love singing on my videos here. So here it goes. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Pop Goes the Weasel. Now, if you look on YouTube and look up Quadratic Formula Pop Goes the Weasel, you'll find all kinds of videos that you can play repetitively until you have it memorized. Yes, it'll be available to you when you take your quiz and test and that kind of stuff. However, it is something that comes up a lot. ACTs, state assessments. It will be used in geometry. It'll be used in algebra 2. It'll be used in pre-calc. It's one of those formulas, it just keeps coming back. So it is better off that you memorize it now because it's only going to make it easier for you in the future, okay? So with that being said, number of solutions. This is what we call the discriminant, okay? So you will see this term on your worksheet and you'll see it on assessments, a discriminant, okay? If there are two solutions, your discriminant, aka the b squared minus 4ac. So what's underneath that radical? That is going to be greater than 0. If there is one solution, your b squared minus 4ac equals 0. If there is no solution, b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, okay? So again, this is what we call a discriminant. It is just the portion that is underneath your square root, okay? So that kind of just tells you some information as far as how many solutions you're gonna have, okay? So thinking about graphically, what does that mean? Two solutions, your graph crosses the x-axis twice. One solution, it touches the x-axis. No solution, your graph is never going to cross that x-axis, okay? So just thinking about that graphically. Two solutions, one solution, and then I'll graph on here a no solution. Okay, so just a reminder on that, thinking about it graphically. Okay, moving on here. So example 1, determine the number of solutions. So in order to use your discriminant, you must have it in the standard form where it equals 0. So right now that 1 needs to be moved. So we have 6x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 0. Okay, so we need to figure out b squared minus 4ac. What is that value? Okay, so b squared, I know that a is 6, b is 2, c is 1, just a reminder. So we have 2 squared minus 4 times 6 times 1. I can just punch that right into my calculator and I would see that I get negative 20. Negative 20 is less than 0. This is a no solution. Going on the right side, again, everything has to equal 0, so I'm going to move that. So I have 9x squared minus 6x plus 1. A is 9, B is negative 6, even though it shows up as a minus, that still means that it's negative. And C is 1. So I have negative 6. Whenever you have a number that's a negative, make sure you put it in parentheses because your calculator doesn't always recognize that, so just make sure you do that. So negative 6 squared minus 4 times 9 times 1. Type that all in at once and you get 0. Therefore, there is one solution. All right, so now let's actually use that quadratic formula. So I'm going to put this in a nice bright color, just as a reminder of what the quadratic formula is. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. It's going to get stuck in your head. All right, so on this problem, a is 2, b is negative 13, c is negative 24. So all you're doing is you're subbing this into your formula and then you're simplifying it. Now the simplifying is going to can be challenging. It doesn't have to be, but it can be. So we have 13. So it's negative b, so that means you switch the sign. 13 plus or minus the square root of 13 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 24 all over 2 times 2. Now, my helpful trick with this, to make it a little bit easier for you, I would type all of this into your calculator at once, okay? Including that radical. I'm going to break it down a little bit here. And the reason why I say that is because your calculator is very powerful and it just makes the process a little bit easier for you. So we've got 13 plus or minus the square root of 361 over 4. Now, this is why I say, I just type it in and then I get my square root number. But you could do it all at once with that radical. I'm okay with that either way. So we have, if you did that and you typed it in with the radical, you'd have 13 plus or minus 19 over 4. Now here's the deal. Kind of like what we had in the last section, when you do not have a radical, we have to split to solve. So sorry, I don't have room here, so I got to go this way. So I've got 13 plus 19 over 4 and 13 minus 19 over 4. And I need to calculate both of those. Once again, you can use your calculator. Just type it in and it's going to make your life so much easier. When I type this in, I get 8 here. And then on this bottom one, I get negative 3 over 2. And I'm done. Started off a little bit easy, and you guys know how this works. We always get a little bit more challenging as we go. A over here is 5. B equals negative 1. C equals negative 1. Once again, just going through and plugging my numbers in and simplifying. So I have 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 squared minus 4 times 5 times negative 1. All over 2 times 5. So once again, highlighting the part that I plug in right into my calculator so I don't have to worry about did I mess something up when I tried calculating, when I tried subtracting. It's just is all right there. So we have 1 plus or minus the square root of 21 over 10. Now, can that square root of 21 reduce? Your calculator will do that, and it can simplify it if it's possible. The square root of 21 does not break down any further. Because I have that radical, I am done. All right, my equation does not equal 0, so I have to move it over. I have negative 3x squared plus 6x minus 4 equals 0. A is negative 3, B is 6, C is negative 4. So I have 6 plus or minus the square root of 6 squared minus 4 times negative 3 times negative 4 all over 2a. Sorry, that was going to bother me. It didn't really look like a 3. All right, so once again, I type in all of that radical portion. So 6 squared minus 4 times negative 3 times negative 4. Notice I put a 2a and it should have actually been a number. Sorry about that. So 6 plus or minus the square root of negative 21 over negative 6. I have a problem. It's not a problem. I just have a situation, I should say. It's negative 21. Can you ask yourself, can you take a square root of a negative number? If you try typing that in, something occurs. This ends up being a domain error. And it results back to our discriminant is that yellow portion I'm highlighting. So remember, if your discriminant, aka the part that's underneath the radical, is less than 0, it's a no solution. My discriminant there is in orange, it's less than 0. And I have a domain error. That's why we have a no solution, okay? So just explaining that process. No solution. All right, moving on to the last one that we've got. I've got a bunch of stuff that I need to move, and that's all right. So I've got 8x squared plus 9x plus 8 minus 6. Combine my like terms. Now I've got some info. A equals 8, B equals 9, C equals 2. Negative 9 plus or minus the square root of 9 squared minus 4 times 8 times 2. All over 2 times 8. Once again, I'm typing in this whole portion. And again, that whole portion is called the discriminant. So negative 9 plus or minus, I've got 9 squared minus 4 times 8 times 2, which is 17. All over 16. And I'm done. I want to talk to you guys real quick about a situation that you might have occur. I'm just going to put this off to the side over here, just so you guys are aware that this could happen. If you end up with, say, negative 9 plus or minus the square root of, let's go 3 square root 5 over 6. Okay, so I want to talk about this one specifically. In this situation, the numbers that are not inside the radical, so the negative 9, the 3, and the 6, they are all divisible by 3. So you could actually reduce this down to be -3 plus or minus 1 square root 5 over, page number, get out of there, 2. I believe the calculator, if you were to type this in, I believe it'll give you this answer. I'm not 100% positive on that, but that's something for you to note. I will look into that. I don't have one of the school calculators with me. I have a different calculator, but just something for you guys to know that if you have that potential to reduce it down, you need to. So this is the quadratic formula. Again, pop goes the weasel, and you're just subbing in your information and simplifying.